Christmas is freedom. The snow falls quiet, the stars burn bright, a season of hope in the winter's night. But my heart still aches for those who fight for freedom's flame in the darkest light. True freedom fighters, the Mavericks we praise, blazing their trails through shadowy days. They stand unbroken, their courage shines for every soul, for all mankind. All I want for Christmas is freedom, for every maverick to lead the way. Goodwill toward men, let the light begin, and a brighter dawn for a brand new day. Break the chains of tyranny, let the world hear our rights are from a higher place, so clear. All I want this Christmas, my cheer, is freedom for all, far and near. The battle's not over, the war still calls against those who build oppression's walls. But the maverick spirit will never fade, a beacon of hope through history's blade. So we pray for strength, and we stand as one, for the rights of the many and the dreams yet spun. The gift of freedom, it knows no price, born of courage, sacrifice. All I want for Christmas is freedom, for every maverick to lead the way. Goodwill toward men, let the light begin, and a brighter dawn for a brand new day. Break the chains of tyranny, let the world hear our rights are from a higher place, so clear. All I want this Christmas, my cheer, is freedom for all, far and near. Let's honor the brave, the fearless, the true, the mavericks who dare to break through. Their fights our fight, their cause divine. Freedom for all, for your heart and mind. All I want for Christmas is freedom, for every maverick to light the way. Goodwill toward men, let the peace begin, and a brighter world for us to stay. Stand against dictators, let justice ring, our rights from above, the anthem we sing. All I want for Christmas this year is freedom for all, far and near. Ooh. This Christmas we remember the mavericks so bold, who carry the torch in the freezing cold. Freedom's the gift, the fight never done. This Christmas we pray it's for everyone.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here tonight. Christmas is just around the corner, isn't it? We're kind of right into it now, into the final stretch. But man, the world could sure use a lot more peace. Yeah. Christmas terror attack in Germany. Joseph Lenard is going to be by later in the broadcast to talk with us about that. As you probably know, Joseph has unique insight into these things. The author of a book called Terror Strikes. He's studied terrorism, and he'll help put this into proper perspective for us tonight. Also, Justin Trudeau. He's done. It really is that simple now, because Jagmeet Singh says he will vote no confidence when he comes back after the Christmas break. That means an election is imminent. Even though Trudeau shuffled his cabinet today in a desperate attempt to cling to power. And Pierre Poilievre upstaged Trudeau in spectacular form all day long. I don't know if we're broadcasting out to all the proper platforms tonight. Looks like things are a little wonky on the technical side here, but hopefully, well, we've got people in the chat, so I guess we're firing up on YouTube. I guess it's there. Just some of the controls aren't set right. Nevertheless, we're going to dig into it on the other side of this.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV,
the entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Another incredible day in politics in Canada. Truly an amazing day. It's just been one dumpster fire after another, day after day, since earlier this week when Canada's Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland, resigned just moments before she was supposed to table the fall economic statement that had been delayed and became the winter economic statement, a prelude to revealing that the federal budget deficit had ballooned beyond the guardrail, $42 billion to almost $62 billion, which for Canada is massive, a record. So Trudeau has now shuffled his cabinet. Did that today because with the defection or the resignation of Freeland, it brings, I think, now to 9 the number of high-profile cabinet ministers who he has lost over the past about 6 months or so. So he has now added 8 Liberal MPs to his front bench and reassigned 4 ministers in a significant cabinet shuffle. This comes in the wake of this whole challenging week for the federal Liberals, aiming to inject some stability into their government just 1 month before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. However, before the shuffle could even take place, Trudeau faced a critical blow when NDP leader Jagmeet Singh declared his party will now move a motion of no confidence in the new year. Following this, Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre has also announced he will request Governor General Mary Simon to recall the House for a confidence vote. This means Trudeau is done. Here, look at this. Look at this. I've got the letter from Jagmeet Singh and the reaction all in one fell swoop. The letter from Jagmeet Singh and the reaction from Pierre Poilievre. So first off, let's show you the letter. Here we go. It's a big deal, folks, because Singh has been the guy who has been propping Trudeau up, the Trudeau minority government. There it is. There's the letter. And he says right there, the Canadian dream is a good job that gets you a home and a fridge full of groceries with enough left over to save for vacations. A country where health care is always there as soon as you need it. I believe every Canadian deserves that. He goes on and on and on here. And he talks about how he earlier had asked for Justin Trudeau to resign. And he should, because he can't fix healthcare, he says. Singh also says he can't build homes you can afford. He can't lower your bills. And then he says the next fight is a big one. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives will give CEOs and big business anything they want and make callous cuts to pay for it. They will cut healthcare, childcare, housing, and people's pensions. And he says Canadians can come together and build a country where we take better care of each other, a country where we create good jobs, stand up to the threats of Trump's tariffs, and where everyone has a chance to succeed. I will be working hard, he says, to build a movement that can win in the next election. Join me in this fight, blah, blah, blah. And he says he will vote no confidence when he comes back. That's around the 27th, I believe, of January. And here's Pierre Poilievre's response. He says, Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservatives, says, "Ha! Now the Parliament is closed and there is no chance to introduce any motion for months until after you get your pension. You did the same stunt in September, claiming you'd no longer prop Trudeau up. Then you went back on your word and voted 8 times against an election. And for your boss, Trudeau, just 11 days ago, he says, you voted against a non-confidence motion filled with your own words. Had you voted the other way, we'd be almost halfway through the election now. Only common sense Conservatives can and will replace the costly NDP Liberal clown show. Axe the tax election now." So I think that's the second time in about 2 or 3 days that Poilievre has referred to the whole Trudeau Liberal NDP coalition scenario circus as a clown show. So yeah, so Trudeau did shuffle his cabinet today, and here's what we have on our hands. We have some backbenchers, some no-namers, MPs that people have never heard of before in many cases, filling key roles within the Trudeau government's cabinet. These are the like plum positions, these are the people that actually run things. The ones in real charge. You know, everybody else basically gets a vote. These guys, they implement policy. So Ontario MP Nathaniel Erskine Smith is now Canada's Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities. She replaces Sean Fraser, who won't be running again. David McGuinty from Ontario takes over the public safety portfolio from Dominic LeBlanc, who stepped into the top economic position, finance minister, after Chrystia Freeland's sudden resignation earlier this week. New ministers joining the cabinet include Quebec's Rachel Bendayan as Minister of Official Languages and Associate Minister of Public Safety. Quebec's Elizabeth Breyer as Minister of National Revenue, succeeding Marie-Claude Bibeau. He's not seeking re-election. The rats are jumping off the ship. Manitoba's Terry Duguid, now Minister of Sport and responsible for Prairies Economic Development Canada. Nova Scotia's Darren Fisher has been appointed as Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Defence Minister, and Newfoundland and Labrador's Joanne Thompson will take on the role of Minister of Seniors. And Ontario's Ruby Sahota will become Minister of Democratic Institutions and is responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario. Now, current ministers reassigned include Anita Anand, who I think will be a contender for Trudeau's job if he steps aside, as I think he probably will. And she is now Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. That frees her up from her dual role as Treasury Board President. And we have Stephen McKinnon, who retains his labor portfolio, but also takes on employment, workforce development, and official languages. And Jeanette Petipas Taylor stepping into the role of Treasury Board President. So Trudeau has maintained gender parity in his cabinet, which he has made a priority. It's not a meritocracy necessarily. It's about quotas in many cases, with 19 men and 19 women, not including himself. However, this shuffle did not include Mark Carney, despite speculation. Former Bank of Canada governor, some people thought, even though we heard yesterday that he would not take the role, some thought he might actually be assigned the finance minister's position. So with Trudeau choosing not to take questions from reporters after the shuffle and having canceled recent end-of-year interviews, his future as leader remains a hot topic tonight. At this post-cabinet shuffle press conference, new and reassigned ministers faced questions about their confidence in Trudeau, and Trudeau himself was conspicuously absent. I'll play a little bit from the news conference. Trudeau was not there. He was in hiding, avoiding questions from the media today.
We wanted to express our solidarity with the Jewish community. Our hearts and thoughts, prayers are with them at this difficult moment. We'll have more to say about this in due course. So on that note, we turn it over to you for your questions.
Bonjour, la question, Monsieur McGuinty, est pour vous.
Mr. McGuinty, we have a question for you. Are you going to be responsible for the border as Minister of Public Safety? I know that, Madame Brière, you're having issues with your voice, but Jagmeet said today that he will put down the government. So before they gave you this position, did you receive some instructions? Are you prepared to be there for 2 months or 3 months? Thank you for the question. Let's go back to the border question, to the issue at the border. I will be working with Minister LeBlanc. He was participating at the meetings prior to my nomination, I will be part of the Canada-US Committee. We will put into place the plan that was distributed this week. So it will be a shared responsibility with Mr. LeBlanc. I have to learn a lot. I have my deputy minister, and there's also Minister LeBlanc who've been tackling this issue for many months. We will be working together. And like I said, this is a Team Canada approach. We will be more than one minister, and some of them are behind me. We will do our best to tackle the challenges with the new Trump administration. Follow-up question? So how long will you stay in position? You will be receiving all of the information during the Christmas holidays. Actually, we're there to govern. We're there also to... Well, we're very experienced ministers, and we will be fighting for Canadians as long as needed.
I don't know. You've got
parliamentary issues are very serious.
Much weaker team now.
We will continue to
heading
offer
into these negotiations.
Solutions. We will continue to govern the country, and we will be tackling economic issues. We will be working for Canadians, for Canadian workers, and we will stay as long as needed. Can you say in the other language?
What you're seeing today is a cabinet full of new energy, obviously coupled with experience and competence with all of my colleagues. For my part, the economy, jobs, workers, that's going to be my focus. And this cabinet and this government will continue offering solutions for Canadians as long as we go. Of course, other opposition parties are free to vote as they will, but we will be continuing to offer solutions for Canadians right up to our last day.
Hi, Ministers. Laura Osmond with The Logic. My question is for Minister McGuinty. I wanted to dig in a little bit deeper on your role in terms of U.S.-Canada relations. Chrystia Freeland and Minister LeBlanc work quite closely on that file. What do you see your role as being in terms of leading the government's efforts against the Trump tariff trade threats? And what will your responsibilities be, given that LeBlanc is taking so much responsibility for the border?
I think our approach is one where we recognize that we need all hands on deck, where not only different portfolios, different ministers must cooperate, but for that matter, we have to cooperate with our premiers, our big city mayors, our Indigenous leaders, different business representatives, because this really is a Team Canada approach. I'm convinced that we're going to be able to resolve the issues between Canada and the incoming American administration. We have a history of cooperating. This is the largest undefended border in the world. We have always overcome challenges between us. Both sides of the border understand the importance of security in terms of the economy. Yesterday we had the border czar from the United States on Canadian television saying there were very, very many positive developments in the relationship as we find our way forward and manage this most important of relationships. So I'm encouraged. I'll be working with Minister LeBlanc and others to make sure that we bring a seamless approach to resolving these issues on behalf of Canadians. And we're getting right to work. I mean, right after this meeting, most of us are meeting with our deputy ministers and moving forward.
But what specifically is your responsibility?
My responsibility will be to work, obviously, with the RCMP, with the Canada Border Services Agency, with overseeing Correctional Services Canada, obviously the security CSIS. Intelligence Service. My responsibility will be to work with my partners in the United States and to actually begin delivering on much of the resources that have been provided to public safety just this last week in the economic statement, which will allow us to make improvements to meet the challenges that the White House seems to be raising with us. I am convinced that working together with my colleagues here and beyond, we're going to do this for Canadians. This is just too important not to get right together.
This will be the last question. Dernière question, s'il vous plaît.
Hi, Ministers. Raif Patel, the Toronto Star. The Prime Minister is not
standing behind you, supporting you publicly. The Prime Minister is not here today
He's
to
hiding.
answer questions and address Canadians. My question's for each of you. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you take it. I don't want to talk about it.
The Prime Minister is working hard to make sure that we lead this government and we deal with the pressing issues of today. The Prime Minister has all of our full support, and he obviously has shown lots of confidence in us, and that's why we're here today. We were just with him inside and had some great conversation as to the work that we have ahead of us. And we're really laser focused on doing that work and making sure we deliver for Canadians.
Not for much longer.
It is a very important moment for all of us, and we're there to work together. We have to work for Canadians. We have to fulfill the needs of our population, and it's a very difficult moment. And as you can see, there's a lot of energy around the table. We want to work for everyone. We have to look forward, make the right decision, and this is what we will do. In French? Where is the Prime Minister? He's not there. Do you think he has to leave? It's more than one question. Actually, we trust the Prime Minister, and we have trust in the government. We wouldn't be there if it was not the case. At the same time, we want to face all of the challenges that we have. David mentioned a couple of elements, such as the border, our relations with the United States. These are our priorities. We also have the economy, employment, and workers. I've been tackling this issue over the past few months, and I will focus on that in my new role.
Government's falling apart.
He's left you alone in the cold. Where is he?
The Prime Minister has of course, been working all week, working to fashion the government and to continue to work on our priorities. The Prime Minister is the hardest working person I know.
This was the last question.
The Prime Minister has been very focused on working with his cabinet, working with his government on Canadians' priorities.
He's done, man.
That was the last question. You can go ahead.
Done. Absolutely done. That's it.
Look, the Liberal Party is an extraordinary institution.
Yeah.
I remember being here this summer and discussing the fact that you should never count the Liberal Party of Canada out. Thank you.
Oh, well, I wouldn't do
Merci.
that. But
Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas, Joyeux Noël à tout le monde. Merci. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. Run away.
Well, there you have it, the last
Run away.
grouping of new
Run
ministers
away.
sworn.
Run away. Run away as quickly as you can. They're done. Absolutely done. Even the reporters who are bought and paid for with government grants now, all the mainstream media gets money from the government. And for a long time, they were only saying nice things about Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, but not now. That reporter's like, the whole government's falling apart. Where's the Prime Minister? He's left you out here in the cold. Yeah, he is nowhere to be found. He's off in hiding, and probably wise, because he would have faced a firestorm of questions today. He's on the run, folks. And Pierre Poilievre is ready to run because there is well, first of all, let me show you this. There is a petition that has been launched by Conservative Member of Parliament, Michelle Ferrari. I can show this to you. It's petition E-5289. Some people phoned here last night and said, Rick, you have to tell people about this petition. It's Canadians demanding an election, saying we've had enough. And it's Michelle Ferrari. Also, I think the media outlet Northern Perspective has taken the lead on trying to promote it. And A lot of people asked us to let people know about this too, which we can do. You can find, just type in petition E5289 or Canada election petition. It'll come right up in the search engine results. I'm going to post it here in the chat, the link. Here we go. There's the link. And I'll go over to Rumble and post it in there too. It's in YouTube. And we'll put it over here in the Rumble chat. So if you want to go and sign that petition, you can. About 35 or 37,000 signatures already in the last 24 hours since that went up. People are saying, we want an election, and we want it now. So there's that. And then Pierre Poilievre following up with his own news conference and not afraid to take questions from reporters. Justin Trudeau's on the run. Pierre Poilievre is ready to run.
Thank you very much, everyone. Today we saw the next episode of the chaotic clown show that is costing Canadians after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government. And look at all the players in this drama. They're taking care of themselves, fighting for their own personal self-interest while they embarrass the country, tank our dollar, unleash crime and chaos in our community, threaten our trade relationship with our biggest partner. Let's go through these players. Justin Trudeau, who egomaniacally holds on to power even though 80% of Canadians want to fire him. Then there's Chrystia Freeland, who is just fine with doubling the debt, doubling housing costs, doubling the number of people going to food banks, quadrupling the carbon tax, breaking the immigration system, but then suddenly had a change of heart the second she realized she was getting a demotion. So it was really all about her. A demotion that would see her replaced with carbon tax Carney, who had committed to the Prime Minister that he would take the job of Finance Minister after he, as the economic advisor after all, helped write this fall economic update with a $62 billion deficit included in it. And then you have Jagmeet Singh, who, after he duped you all and claimed he'd ripped up his deal with Trudeau, voted 8 times to keep Trudeau in office over the last session of Parliament, and including voting against a non-confidence motion that was made up of his own words 11 days ago. If he had voted for his own words, we would be a third of the way into an election campaign right now. But he suddenly had an epiphany and says that he can no longer support the costly chaos that he has enabled as part of the NDP Liberal coalition. This is quite the drama with all these personalities that you're all breathlessly covering, but I'm interested in the dramas of other people, real people, the people who have seen their housing costs doubled, rising faster than any other G7 country. The 2 million people lined up at food banks, which is also double. The 50% increase, people who are part of the 50% more crime victims, or the 116% more gun crime victims since Trudeau took office, or the millions that are unemployed as our economy collapses, or the seniors who will struggle to put food on the table after our dollar tanked in the middle of all this chaotic clown show on Monday, now below 70 cents a litre for the first time in almost 2 decades. I worry about the workers whose wages are stagnant while American workers boom because our investment per worker has collapsed by 23%. I worry about the single moms who are struggling to pay for the massive increase in food prices that have gone up 37% faster in Canada than in the United States, something that coincided with the NDP Liberal carbon tax on farmers and truckers. I worry about the 28% of Canadians who said they're considering moving to another country because life has become so hellish after 9 years of this NDP Liberal government. I worry about the children who will inherit the $1.2 trillion debt. More debt was added in the last 9 years of this NDP Liberal government than in all prior governments combined. I worry about the families who've lost were among those who've lost people to drug overdoses. Now 47,000 Canadians have died, more than died in the Second World War after the NDP Liberals liberalized hard drugs, and allowed our border to fly open. I worry about the people who've lost hope in this country. They are the ones we should be focused on. Instead, we're focusing on the chaotic clown show that is costing Canadians today. This cannot go on. With a U.S. president coming in threatening tariffs early next year, we cannot have a chaotic clown show running our government into the ground. What is clear is that Justin Trudeau does not have the confidence of Parliament. Since the last confidence votes happened, there have been 3 major developments. 1, the leader of the Bloc says he's changed his mind. He no longer has confidence in the Prime Minister. 2, just today, Jagmeet Singh claimed that he no longer has confidence in the Prime Minister, albeit he intends to wait until he gets his pension, until he votes accordingly. But still, he says he's lost confidence. And then there are 18 Liberal MPs, including the former Deputy Prime Minister, who've all lost confidence in the Prime Minister. Add them all up and you have 70% of parliamentarians who do not have confidence in the Prime Minister. And in the middle of a trade, border, crime, and cost of living emergency. This cannot go on. And that is why, in just a few moments, I will be writing the Governor General, asking her to urgently reconvene Parliament and require a non-confidence vote so the Prime Minister can judge whether he stays in power, continuing to ruin our country, or whether we get an axe the tax election to allow Canadians to take back control of their lives and their country. With a Prime Minister who can take back control of our borders, our immigration, our spending, our cost of living, who will get rid of the GST on new homes and axe the carbon tax to bring down the cost of living, to show a strong, smart presentation to the incoming president, with a new Prime Minister that has the brains and backbone to put Canada first. Thank you.
Comment vous allez faire pour convaincre le gouvernement? Il n'y a rien qui l'oblige à vous écouter. Comment vous allez faire pour la convaincre qu'elle doit rappeler le Parlement?
Elle a une responsabilité de rappeler le Parlement parce que le Premier ministre a perdu le...
Let's pull out of this. Let's bring Joseph in. He's there. Are you alive, sir? I think I kind of caught you off guard bringing you up on the screen.
Yeah, I wasn't quite ready. And I got to tell you, my friend, I am exhausted. You know I have health problems. Last several days, my sleeping patterns have been all screwed up and whatnot. So I'm mentally and physically exhausted. But while I could make an excuse and take a break, and granted, we all need breaks every once in a while, right? What times the Argo's on? What times the Ticats on? What times the Maple Leafs on? That's not a problem unless if it's every day. Like, oh, tomorrow I'll do something. Then tomorrow, oh, tomorrow. Excuse, and not doing anything. So while I could have went to the show and saw a movie and came home and go to bed, things are too important going on right now to do that and not come on and talk these things with you. Like, I shot off a few emails earlier today. Well, again, I have health issues, so I'm not going to ask of your audience to do anything beyond what I'm able or capable of doing. I sent some emails. All right. I made some phone calls. I'm not asking anybody in this audience to go out in the cold and protest. Stay on your couch. Have any of you in this audience, and it's not as if they don't get upset from time to time, but I can guarantee on social media tonight there will be people attacking me for daring to ask this question. Because if they don't then aim their anger at me, they'll have to admit to themselves the answer to the questions I'm about to ask are no. Who in your government did you call today? Who in your government did you email today? If you emailed somebody, prove me wrong. Forward it to me, JLenardDetroit.info. If you're going to email on Monday, carbon copy me, JLenardDetroit.info. But I guarantee some are going to be all upset because did you email today or call? Yesterday? Anytime this week? How about this month? At all? But I whined and moaned online on social media as if that did anything. Now, 2 seconds. I was actually, before you brought me on, Googling PM Trudeau's email address. Unfortunately, it's a form. I couldn't get an email, or I'd give his email out. So copy me on an email, right? 2 seconds. Type him in, the address, subject, resign, body, resign, enter. 2 minutes of your time. I'm not asking you to go out and protest, but can you take 2 minutes to send an email?
But okay, so a lot of this is happening. Not all. It's not entirely because of Donald Trump, but a lot of this is happening because of Donald Trump and this 51st state stuff. And the last time we spoke, you said that you thought Trump had gone too far, and then he continued to do it. There was even more of it, right? So what do you make of all that?
And again, I think it was stupid. I think it was unnecessary, but it cuts both ways. And part of why I said it was stupid is it gave Trudeau deflection material. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Don't look what I'm doing. Don't look what we're doing. And then Trudeau, I forget what he said, attacked American citizens, U.S. citizens the other day. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Right?
Yeah, well,
Can't be a hypocrite here.
You said American voters had failed to elect a female president for the second time.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Okay, Justin. You had a female prime minister for what, 6 whole months? And then you swept her aside. Has there ever... Justin Blackface Trudeau, step aside. When are you going to have a black female PM? Step aside. And support one.
And it was not a liberal who was the first female prime minister of Canada.
Which is why swept aside so
quick. Conservative Kim Campbell.
That's why, yes. Yeah. Obviously he's sexist, though. You're all sexist. You got rid of your PM after 6 months, but yet Trudeau's going to criticize us about not electing ultra-commie, fasci, soci women. I'm happy to vote for a woman. I'll vote for Kristi Noem for president any day of the week. Not Hitlery, not the communist.
CTV News has been scoring big in the past week on the politics portfolio because they had you're from just so people know, in case you don't know, Joseph's over in Detroit, and of course he's an American, right? And over here in Canada, CTV News had your new border czar Joseph Tom Homan on for an interview, and he was talking about, this is, for Trump, this is like the threat of a 25% universal tariff on everything leaving Canada for the U.S. That's a threat. It's also a tool to get what he wants, which is a tighter border, or so he says.
Art of the deal. Art of the deal.
And it's a prelude to upcoming negotiations to renegotiate the USMCA, which is the North American Free Trade Agreement, which he renegotiated the last time he was in office. And today, CTV scored again and helped Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, upstage Trudeau when they scored an interview, a year-end interview with Poilievre at just the right time because the cabinet shuffled today, and that whole issue of Canada becoming the 51st state came up. And I'll tell you this, Trudeau went down to Mar-a-Lago, sat with Trump, and basically just, let Trump walk all over him, right? Poilievre was today on fire in this interview because he was both diplomatic and showed that he was strong. Let's run a little bit of this interview for you to give you a taste.
Once again, by the leader of the official opposition and the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, Pierre Poilievre. Welcome back to the show.
Great to be with you, and Merry Christmas to you and your viewers.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, too. Before we get started, I just want to set the table for our conversations. Canadians are very familiar with your messaging, and obviously it's working for you. You're enjoying a 20-point lead in the polls. But what I'm not familiar with, what Canadians aren't as familiar with, is your relationship with the incoming President Donald Trump. How would you describe your relationship with him right now?
Well, I don't have one right now because I'm not the Prime Minister. I've been very conscientious about putting the country first and avoiding dividing the message. So that said, I have the strength and the smarts to stand up for this country. And my message to incoming President Trump is that first and foremost, Canada will never be the 51st state of the U.S. We have a heroic history, a great people, and a very proud future ahead of us. And the president has raised concerns about our border and the government's destruction of our military. Well, we should reinforce our border to stop fentanyl, guns, stolen cars, not just for President Trump, but for our own people after 9 years of Trudeau losing control of the border. And we need to rebuild our military to protect our continent and our country against Chinese and Russian submarines and spy balloons, terrorists, and other risks, and to rebuild that military with a warrior culture, not a woke culture. Finally, on the trade issue, what I'd say to President Trump is, look, yeah, we have a trade surplus with you, but that's because we're basically donating you our raw materials and letting American workers profit from $100 billion of underpriced Canadian oil and gas so they get the money and the jobs. I would be more than happy to bring that home, and that's why I will repeal all the insane anti-energy and anti-resource laws the NDP Liberals have passed so we can liquefy, upgrade, and transport our own natural resources and bring powerful paychecks home for our people.
What would your approach then be, Mr. Poilievre? Would it be more like Premier Ford, who says, look, retaliatory measures, we're going to turn out the lights if you can't negotiate with us fairly? Or would it be more like Premier Smith, who's saying, look, whatever you need at the borders, we'll even make our own security team if it will help with tariffs? Which approach seems more fitting with yourself?
Look, President Trump is a deal maker. He's became a highly successful billionaire in the most ruthless real estate market in the world, New York. So he wants a deal, and my belief is that he wants America to win. There's no question. But I want to show him that Canada can win at the same time. He will put America first. I will put Canada first, which is new and different. And I believe that we have overlapping interests and values. And I can say to the president, look, if we get richer in Canada because of our trade with you, we'll have a bigger, stronger military that protects your northern flank. We'll buy more of your goods, and we'll supply you with the strategic minerals you need to secure America. So in other words, we can both put our respective and separate countries first while ensuring that both sides of the border win big.
I know you value common sense with the Conservatives. Common sense, if you're looking south of the border, would say maybe don't put 25% tariffs on your largest trading partner.
That's right.
Tell me
That's
more.
not common sense.
Yeah, so tell me more again about this common sense of the Conservative versus America first.
Like I said, I'm Canada first. I'm going to be fighting for our country. And that includes things I will do here. You know what else doesn't make sense? The tariff that Trudeau and the NDP Liberals are imposing on Canada. Called the carbon tax. They plan to quadruple it to 61 cents a liter. Can you imagine Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office calling our businesses saying, hey, you want to get out of this carbon tax? Drive 50 kilometers to the south. You can work and drive your trucks and operate your factories with no carbon tax. And where other taxes are going down, it will be a large sucking sound of jobs and money leaving our country. That's why we need to axe the carbon tax. We need to cut other taxes, speed up permits, unleash mining, pipelines, and other major projects to bring home production and paychecks to Canada. And that's what I mean when I say Canada first.
When we take a look at trade, for example, just so I get a clearer picture of what it is that you were wanting and willing to negotiate with him, part of negotiating any deal are two things. One, what are your non-negotiables? And two, what are the pressure points? So what pressure points will you press on America to bring out a good deal for Canada, Canada first? And what are your non-negotiables for this country?
Well, our non-negotiables is that I have to put our country first, and I'll never sacrifice our interests for any other country in the world.
What about immigration?
Oh, well, we have, even Justin Trudeau's immigration minister admits that our immigration is out of control. Last year, we brought in 1.2 million people, and the number of doctors in Canada actually went down. And so forget whether Donald Trump likes our policy. Justin Trudeau's total reckless incompetence, supported by all Liberal MPs, has caused complete chaos. He's lost control of the border, lost control of immigration, lost control of spending, debt, and inflation. We need a prime minister with the brains and backbone to take back control of immigration, border, spending, housing costs, crime, and drugs. And that's why we need an axe the tax election as soon as possible.
Sorry, and again, your non-negotiables and the pressure points you're willing to push.
Well,
just answered your
as
question.
I said, we're not going to compromise anything that hurts to hurt our country's security or economy, period. And we shouldn't have to, because our interests are aligned. What are the negotiating tools I have? Well, I can say, look, Mr. President, if you try to cripple our economy, obviously we would have to respond with counter tariffs that will hurt on the American side. Your workers will lose jobs because they will no longer be able to upgrade our natural resources, and higher gas prices would result, even though the president has promised to cut them in half. So those are all reasons for him not to do it. On the counter point, I'll say, look, Mr. President, I know what you want. You want your northern flank secure. You don't want the risk that Chinese and other military assets are floating around in the Arctic, threatening your continent, your country and our continent. You don't want terrorists coming over the border. A strong trading relationship will give Canada a powerful economy that funds a growing military with a stronger presence in the north, an ironclad border that keeps terrorists, drugs, and guns from flowing across. And that will make America secure, and it will make both our peoples richer, safer, and stronger.
Just so that I have.
Okay, enough. Joseph,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I wrote down 4 points. But first, let me say, nothing he said threatens or upsets me. Not in the least. Right? 1 point. If you're only going in with carrots, you're a moron at negotiation. You've got to have carrots and sticks. He outlined that. Point 2. It can be a win-win for both. So, right? He sounded like Ross Perot in the 90s and Clinton and the NAFTA farce. The giant sucking sound of all the jobs leaving Canada and the U.S. into Mexico because of bad deals. We need a deal that indeed is win-win for both of this. Number 3, I'm not just calling out my Canadian friends. When I say, who did you email today? There are U.S. citizens watching right now. I don't doubt. Right? Who did you email? Who did you call? And I don't want an excuse. Well, in Canada, the government's melting down. I could just sit back and, roast marsh. No. We, the people, our documents say, are you the boss or are they the boss? Don't send them your thoughts. Send them your demands. And it can be resign, in the subject and the body, and the same with some here in the United States. No, the omnibus farce. You thought we weren't paying attention. You were going to spend another trillion on top. No, we're not going to wait for Trump to come in. Send them an email now. Resign now. Get out now. You're done. We are in charge, not you. And then lastly, right, I'm not asking anybody to even get off their couch. You showed the petition. I started a We the People demand list, a new contract with America at change.org or beforeitsnews.com. You can find it. Sign the petition. What does that take you? 2 seconds? You don't have to get off your couch. But you're already online whining. How about doing something that matters? And don't say, oh, my sending an email or making a phone call doesn't matter. It does. Like I emailed Turtle, Senator Turtle, Rhino, Kentucky, minority leader, right? We've been trying to get him out for ages. And I did that. Resign. Get out now. Enough. We're not going to let you stay. You've overstayed your welcome. Okay. Resign.
Okay, I got it. I've got it. Okay. To give you the Reader's
Digest. Thousands do that.
Okay, so if I'm reading you correctly in understanding this, you want people to write emails to politicians asking them to resign, specifically Trudeau. Got it. Okay. I think we're clear.
Yeah, the point here is that most people are in the excuse making.
Okay.
Right?
Let's move on, because we've been on this now
anything.
twice, and we've probably got 15 minutes into this. So I think we're pretty clear on this one. Thank you.
But no, people will be upset at me for calling them out rather than being upset at themselves for not doing anything. Right? You know I'm right.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll see where the petition goes. We'll also see what happens with the letter that Pierre Poilievre sent to the Governor General asking for Parliament to be reconvened for a non-confidence vote. I bet you it doesn't happen, but at least he's writing the letter and trying on his end, but I don't think it will happen. We will likely have, because Parliament's suspended now for the Christmas break. This will give Trudeau a little bit of breathing space. But I said before, I think what will happen here is like his father back in the 1980s. I think it was 1984. His father took a walk in the snow, a very famous piece of Canadian history, decided that he was going to resign, and then announced it. I think he will take his walk in the snow over the holidays. You know, it's notable as well that Justin Trudeau was born on Christmas Day. And his birthday is around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. Born with the silver spoon in his mouth. If the timing is right, he can take that walk in the snow. He can make the announcement. Do it with some level of dignity still before so that they actually have to get the actual hook out, grab him by the neck and yank him off the stage. At least he has a little bit of breathing space to escape with, a tiny weeny beeny bit of dignity. That's his grace period that he's getting here now. But I don't think it'll happen. We're not going to see Parliament reconvened. I think that's political posturing.
It won't if we just stay silent.
Well, yeah, that's right. But
make a call. Fill up their voicemail, right? You won't
regardless,
get through, it'll fill up.
But the other point here is, and the most important point, is Jagmeet Singh has said he's going to vote non-confidence and force a non-confidence vote as soon as he comes back. So that's where you have to focus the effort, if that's what you want. Is if you want that to happen, then you need to be putting pressure on Jagmeet Singh and the NDP to do that, because he's the guy who has been propping Trudeau up. put the pressure on him to actually do what he says he's going to do this time, because every other time he's said he would do that, he didn't follow through.
Right.
So this time he wrote the letter. It's in ink now and in digital form online. It's supposed to happen. He says it's going to happen. He's done. Trudeau's done. It's coming. I told you all. I told you over and over and over and over and over again. My guess was we will go to a spring election. So here's what happens, okay? Singh does this end of January 27th, I think. So around the 27th, 28th, that is what happens. A non-confidence vote. And the negotiations with Trump are then already underway. Canada then, Trudeau's forced to resign, go to the Governor General, dissolve Parliament, and call an election. Now, the question is, will he be given any more time to step down as leader? I think that he will if there's enough pressure within the Liberal Party, Trudeau will step down as leader over the Christmas break. They'll have Dominic LeBlanc, acting finance minister, step in as interim leader while they have some sort of a quick leadership convention. Parliament will be dissolved very quickly afterward, and then we'll go into an election. But so that's now February, March. So you're going to be into, like I said, a spring election. They don't want to go to the polls in the winter when it's cold if they can help it. They like to do it when the weather's warmer, so they get better voter turnout and people are more focused on it. So you're looking at the government's going to need time, like the bureaucracy, Elections Canada will need time to get things cranked up. You're looking at April, probably an April election, mid-April to early May, April. It'll probably run. Yeah, the campaign will begin almost immediately, and it'll run January, February, maybe end of March. It may be March, April. You're looking at the election, and that's my prediction, is when we're actually going to end up going to the polls. So you're not going to have to wait till next fall, folks. It's going to be, I think, in the spring. Trudeau may hang on. If that happens, the Liberals will be completely destroyed because there's not enough time for him to recover.
We can hope.
Yeah. Well, it's going to happen.
April isn't soon enough, but I get the logistics and that makes sense, and you've got to have time.
Because Elections Canada has to hire all the people to run the polls. They have to run the ads, hire all the staff, get everything in motion, right? It takes them, at least a month to 2 months to just do that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're looking at here.
But here's something people could do on social media while you're there whining and moaning about me daring to ask you a question about what you're doing. And tag me on, I'm not on X, but most social media, I'm at JLenardDetroit. Mm-hmm. Rick already pointed out that information is in digital form now and no doubt being shared around social media. Find it everywhere you can and repost it. Mm-hmm. Wherever you find it, hit like. And again, I don't care who you email or call in government, but do something. I want their email inboxes and their voicemails full for Monday, and them knowing darn well what it's all about. They don't even have to listen to it or read any of it, because again, you're putting resign now in the subject.
So some people are, saying that Trudeau might prorogue Parliament in order to buy himself some time. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that the current session of Parliament would formally end, but it wouldn't actually dissolve Parliament entirely. So it would be the end of the session.
Not bad, though. They can't do you any more harm.
Well,
if they go away.
except that he gets to linger and then all the current policies remain in place. But when Parliament is prorogued, all the current sessions of the House of Commons and the Senate, they all come to an end. That means all ongoing legislative work, committee activities and debates, it's all halted. And then any bills, plus any bills that have not been passed by both houses before prorogation, do not proceed after that point. They're considered dead unless reintroduced in the next section. But if they have to be reintroduced, this is good, Joseph, because there are some pretty, I would say, damaging pieces of legislation pending that if they were to be approved and receive royal assent, they could do some serious damage on issues like censorship and immigration.
And it would take more time later then to have to address to overturn it, like our lame duck Congress right now, trying to sneak through a bunch of crap. No, shut it down so they can't do you any more harm. Yeah, no more good can happen, and Trudeau will be hanging around a while, but like the carbon tax, what a dumb idea. He's absolutely right, but shut it down so they can't do you any more harm, like our lame duck session of Congress is still trying to do to the U.S. citizen people till the new administration takes over on January 21st.
Well, I don't think we're going to get a prorogued parliament this time around. I think there's just too much pressure on Trudeau, too much pressure from within the Liberal Party itself. He is in a state of crisis, and this cabinet shuffle today didn't do the trick. Even the media today, really putting pressure on him, saying literally the government, that reporter in that question said, the government is falling apart. Where is the prime minister?
I wish I had a baseball bat. So admit it, just imagine, pretend with me, if you will, this is a baseball bat. And let me beat that damn dead horse again. Email, call. You must be part of the pressure. Sitting around watching TV doesn't cut it anymore. Do things that matter, not just blah, 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 blah on social media. Okay. Did I beat that horse enough, Rick?
Well, in the last 24 hours, that petition, as I said, about 37,000 signatures so far. And
sign it. So, while you're out there, sign that petition. Go to change.org. I don't care if you're Canadian, not U.S. Sign my We the People demand list for changes. That's the wrong word. I don't want change. I want restoration.
So there's that petition. Should we start our own petition here?
Yeah, why not? Go to change.org, start a Rick Walker Maverick News petition.
Well, what we
there
should do
can't be enough of them.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll run a poll over the next day, and we'll gauge the reaction from people, and if the people here, the community, our Maverick family, decides that democratically the majority of people want an election, then we'll put a petition together and we'll have people add their voice that way too. So
they
we can
have to know that you are awake. No longer woke. Yeah. You're paying attention. You're not going to shut up. It's like the network movie. I don't want you to go to the window, open it, and scream, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it. No, I want you to send an email and make a phone call, though. Sign the petitions, change.org.
Well, I'm trying to maintain some degree of objectivity and be somewhat unbiased here.
You're trying to be a newsman. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm an opinionist. I'm an opinionist.
That's
and
fine.
I'm expressing my opinion. And darn it, again, if you're upset at me for being upset, I think you're really upset at yourself, aren't you? For asking the question, what are you doing other than whining? Do.
So do you think Trump's approach is working here?
Well, I mean, hindsight is always 20/20. So at this point, you could kind of sort of say, well, maybe it's working a little, maybe it's helping, but it's still too early to say. And I still say, stop. We got too many more important things to be focusing on than getting into that. Principles, not personalities. Stop giving him the chance to deflect. You're only helping him. Stop.
Okay, and here's a good clip that you're going to want to see. This one's fresh. This is senior Liberal member of Parliament, Mark Miller.
Kind of like Rick at the local pickup bar, fresh. Sorry,
no, here,
you know
check
me.
this out.
Can't avoid the pun.
Check this out. This is fresh. Here we go. This is Mark Miller.
Well, Pierre Poilievre is pulling another one of his convoy moves. They tried that going to the Governor General and tried to turn some weird trick that somehow gets Pierre Poilievre where he needs to be. So it's another shtick. Is he going to bring donuts and coffee to the Governor General at the same time with his convoy people? I mean, this is ridiculous. So these are games. We have to be serious and make sure that we're focusing on the next 60 days.
Deflection. Don't pay attention to the issue. Make it about his personality.
So
right?
he's didn't answer the question.
No, deflect.
Yeah.
Deflect, dodge, deny, distort, distract.
Well,
anything to avoid the actual issues, the tough questions he doesn't want to answer.
Did you see that clip of Ben Shapiro talking about the Trump strategy dealing with Trudeau and commenting on Trudeau's visit to Mar-a-Lago? This is actually pretty funny.
I like Ben, but no, I have not seen this.
All right, so here, I'm going to run this. This is why I say, what do you think of the Trump strategy? Is it working? Shapiro thinks so.
The tariffs are really designed, not because tariffs are like fun and games. Tariffs are designed for President Trump as leverage. There is no one in the history of American politics who has used leverage better than President Trump. Right? He uses tariffs as a way of threatening countries to do what he wants. So I'll give you a story. I won't give you the source on the story because I don't want to betray confidence. But it's a great story, so I'm going to tell it anyway. Okay, so this is a story I'd never heard anywhere before. Here's the story. President Trump is meeting with Justin Trudeau, who may or may not be Fidel Castro's son. In any case. And by the way, he's totally Fidel Castro's son. Anyway, he's meeting with Justin Trudeau, apparently, during the first administration. And he is asking for a bunch of things, right, for Canada to do. And Trudeau doesn't want to give all of them. So Trump says to his people, bring Justin here, bring Justin to me. So apparently they sit across from one another. And Trudeau is talking with the president, and President Trump says, Justin, I want you to tell me, if there were one thing I could do tomorrow to completely wreck the Canadian economy, what would it be? And Trudeau goes, well, I mean, Mr. President, there are a lot of things. You're a very powerful country, but, you know, if you tariffed our cars, it would be really, really bad. And Trump goes, Justin, I want to teach you a lesson. The first thing not to do in a negotiation is answer the question, if you could do one thing to destroy me, what would it be? So, of course, President Trump continues, I don't care about Canada. I only care about America. So I'm going to tariff all your cars unless you give me what you want. He got what he wanted. Okay, that's how I think President Trump thinks about tariffs.
I don't disagree with, again, carrots and sticks. Yeah. You might not be happy about the threat of a tariff, but indeed, it mostly is there as the stick to negotiate away. Wow. And as I've said on your show before, some people studied The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Trudeau and Biden studied The Art of Stupid by Sun Byrne.
Well, I was never that upset about the threat of the tariffs because there's no way that's going to happen. But what I haven't really appreciated is the whole thing about the 51st
state. Yeah, I can't. Stop.
That's too much.
Agreed.
Because that's an insult to Canadians. It's a verbal assault from the world's most powerful person on Canadian sovereignty. That's a real threat.
So was Trudeau's
Even if it's a
offhand comment about female president when you tossed aside your female PM after only 6 months. And
that was a long time ago, too, Kim Campbell, when she was the prime minister. I liked Kim Campbell, actually.
Did he forget about her?
They tried to because she was a conservative. Yes.
Right.
He tries to forget all about her.
But it shows again he studied The Art of Stupid by Sunburn, not thinking that I am smart enough to look it up and bring it up after his stupid comment. So,
well, we've got other stuff to dig into tonight, and important stuff at that. When we come back, we're going to dig into... I'm going to say they're freaking fake reports again of attacks on U.S. warships, and then we're gonna talk about this Christmas terror attack over in Germany, and that's really why Joseph is here. That's what he's going to help us out with most tonight. So don't go away.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I don't know if Joseph is back with us or not. Are you there, sir? No, I don't think he is. Let's give Joseph just a moment longer on this break, and we'll pick it up.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's bring Joseph back in. There you are,
my
sir.
apologies again. I am just wiped out. And when you started the break, I should have made the run for the potty break and didn't think of it till halfway through. And then I come back and there you are on screen.
All is well.
And then one other last thing about the last segment. But yet I'm a Trump cultist. Or there will be others who will say, because I dare criticize Trump, I'm anti-MAGA. It's like, you're not a serious person. I'm dealing in principles, not personalities.
Okay, so let's get into these stories here. Russian forces are still continuing their push in Ukraine. We have reports tonight indicating an increase in shelling in the Donbass region. Ukrainian forces are reportedly using high-precision glide bombs provided by the U.S. for strikes in the Kursk region. And there has been a significant escalation in fighting around strategic cities like Pokrovsk, which holds important rail and road connections in the Donetsk region. Russia tonight posting video of what they say are strikes against the control room of Ukraine's secret service. Let me show you the video. Now keep in mind this is Russian video, and I do not know. I'm thinking this is accurate. I think this is real. I think it is accurate. Here we go. Let me just show you. Computer's a little sluggish. And there we go. This is what they're saying. So, pretty serious damage there. I don't have information on possible casualties.
Yeah, or
deaths,
what,
I don't know.
What is actually what. Again, all sides in a conflict engage in propaganda. And again, it goes back to art of war versus art of stupid. Zelensky recognized he had to hold some cards going into negotiation, so he pushed into Russia. Good move. Putin, do you expect him to roll over? No, he recognizes he has to push back as hard as he can to hold more cards when the time comes for negotiation. But the bottom line is Putin will lie again. He will make another Budapest agreement and ignore it and invade again the next time a weak president, another Democrat, is back in office, like he did into Crimea under Obama and expanded the Ukraine invasion under Biden.
And so we've seen attacks in the Red Sea. There's been some sort of an exchange between the Houthi rebels, which are allied with, or the axis of resistance, as they call it. They're on the Russia's side and Iran's side. This is the axis of resistance. Iran, Yemen, Russia,
resistance?
China. That's what
they're
they
the aggressor.
It.
How are
that's
they
right.
the resistance?
Yes, that's exactly right. They are the aggressor. So the Houthis are claiming that they've attacked and damaged the U.S. naval forces, and there's some sort of an exchange going on there. But the Houthis are saying they've damaged an aircraft carrier, and they've released video of this. But I'm calling it out, and I'm saying it's fake. It's fake, because they're recycling old footage of a ship that is not even a U.S. aircraft carrier. So Iranian media published this footage of a damaged and burning aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln, but they're saying it was
attacked decades ago.
Yeah, it's not even that ship. It's that this is a different. This is the USS Bonhomme Richard, destroyed by accidental fire in July of 2020 while undergoing maintenance, and they've used this same footage before for other fake stories. But see, when you're not able to win a war,
the ship was estimated to be
propaganda.
Then you lie. You just make it up to make your own people feel better, I guess.
Now,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, might they have attacked, or at least attempt to attack, one of our ships over there? Possibly. Biden's weak. Would he do anything? Therefore, I have actually heard through back channels about it yet. Anything about such, let alone us doing anything in response? Possible. Not likely, not probable, possible.
There's definitely been an exchange of some kind over there over the past 24 hours, but it's not that. And the U.S. has not been affected in a major way, as suggested by the Houthis and the Iranians. No. This is the whole thing, though, right? That we're in an information war, and they're just outright lying, as they've been lying about so many things.
Their last dying gasps. Trump doesn't want to start any more wars, but we are returning to peace through strength. And if you're going to keep poking, you're going to get it back. We won't stand for it. Trump didn't want to go back into Iraq after Obama screwed it up and ISIS came back in. But Trump committed the troops and wiped them out. He didn't want to. Syria. There are still troops in Syria, U.S. troops. There were all through Trump's administration. He pulled them back, scaled it down to be protection for Israel's northern border while that civil war is going on. He scaled it back. He didn't cut and run like Biden did from Afghanistan and hand over Bagram to China. He was never going to give that up. So I am with Trump in not wanting to start anything else, but by the same token, surrender isn't the option. You're going to poke us and provoke us. You're going to get it.
And interesting tonight that the United States is ready to remove a $10 million bounty that it had placed on who is now the de facto Syrian leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, who is the head of the rebel group that is now in charge in Syria, or appears to be in charge after the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad earlier this month. But I'll tell you, it's a real mess in Syria, and well, Russia and Iran and all those aligned states who are opposed to the West sit there and blame everything on the CIA and the USA for everything that's gone on in Syria. It's the truth is it's a mess. You've got a whole bunch of different political factions, different even terror groups trying to assert control and take control of the country. And right now, that's the guy that appears to be sort of coming into charge there.
And this is Biden's weakness and appeasement again. I agree with Trump. We can't get involved right now. We've got to let things shake and settle a bit, see what happens. But our troops aren't going anywhere. And if
speaking of troops,
dare go against us, we'll come in.
And speaking of troops, it was I'd said here before, because the number was about 1,000 troops, U.S. troops on the ground in Syria, and now there's a couple of days ago, the Pentagon came out, the Department of Defense, and said, oh, actually, in a news conference, we have about 2,000 there, which to me is not really a big deal one way or the other. It's 1,000 troops. It's not enough to. It's not.
Tripwire.
Yeah, it's like it's nothing really. Still, it's teeny tiny, insignificant, and it's just to help the Kurds up in the northeast. They're just there as a support role, essentially.
An Israeli protection tripwire.
And the pro-Russian media's latched onto that, and they're playing that up like they have twice as many troops in Syria as they claimed. Oh, well, it's like they had one guy there, now they have two. Oh my God,
double.
It's a 100% increase, right? No, it's nothing.
Well, people still don't understand. Remember Black Hawk Down, Clinton's farce in Somalia? We never withdrew our troops. They're still there. They were still there during Trump. He didn't withdraw them either. They're still there with Ethiopian troops fighting in Somalia at times. We're still there. We're in Syria. We're gonna stay there. We're not going anywhere. Now, I'd love to be able to bring all our troops home. That would be so great. But Fortress America stupidity ended at World War II. If we're not present, then we create the vacuum for even worse. It may be horrible and costly to try to maintain some things, but imagine the horror and the cost in blood and treasure when World War III that we're trying to stave off with all these little skirmishes actually does happen. And Armageddon and the book of Revelation unfolds. Imagine the cost then. So I may not like it, but again, art of war versus art of stupid.
So this Christmas attack in Germany, we have video from a closed-circuit security camera. Viewer discretion advised. I'm going to run this. And then we're going to start to talk a little bit about it. Man. Here we go. All right, you ready? Okay, folks. This is what happened. Oh my God. This is a Christmas market. Now, it's my understanding a suspect who is Syrian has been identified.
Is that a shock
to
anyone? A doctor. It was my understanding. I didn't think he was Syrian. I thought he was a doctor.
Well, that was the report that I saw just before we came on air. But the information is flowing quickly, and it seems to be changing almost from minute to minute. In fact, I have another update here just posted minutes ago. So what are we seeing here? The most up-to-date information that I have so far is that scores of people have been injured, and at least 2 people, including a small child, were killed. This after a car plowed into this crowd of people, as you saw, at a Christmas market. This in the eastern German town of Magdeburg, in what local officials there are describing as, and they're using this phrase, these words, terror attack. So at least 68 other people there have been injured. 15 were left in critical condition. This according to officials from the municipal government there. And in this attack, it was a black BMW, and it drove straight into that crowd at the Christmas market. It was traveling at a speed, well, it was at full speed, whatever speed that was. It was moving at a real clip, and it went into that crowd there for about 400 meters in the direction of the town hall. And we just showed you exactly what happened from that security camera footage, and then emergency workers were then seen rushed to the scene, and they were treating victims on the ground. Makeshift tents were set up at the site because they had so many people injured, and they had to do what they could at the scene as they arranged to get transport out to hospitals. And now the driver of the car was immediately arrested, later identified. See, and this is different than the information that I got even just about an hour before we came on the air here. He's been identified as Taleb A, a 50-year-old medical doctor from Saudi Arabia. And this is the problem with social media, is this is completely different information than I got an hour beforehand.
And they're going to want to try and blame Saudi Arabia, just as some still try to blame Saudi Arabia for 9/11, because Osama bin Laden, having been kicked and disowned by his own Saudi family from Saudi Arabia, recruited Saudis to commit the 9/11 act so that conspiracies would abound about it was Saudi Arabia behind it. So that conspiracy theory immediately popping up is no surprise. And as you would imagine,
I think this is accurate, that this guy is from Saudi Arabia. The information I had an hour earlier was that the suspect was Syrian. But I don't think that is accurate. It's a totally different name. That's why I didn't actually repost it. I didn't say anything. I didn't put anything on social media. I I was tempted to do something, but without more verification, and it was just being sent to me, and I was like, I'm waiting on this because I want to be accurate.
Yeah.
And then even just sitting here now saying, I believe he's from Syria, that appears to be inaccurate. Saudi Arabian, 50 years old.
If that holds.
Talib or Talib A is the name that has been conveyed to the public now. But again, all of this information, all flowing and subject to change on the fly.
I have been only posting about it generically online for the same exact reasons. My phones have been unplugged and turned off since I spoke with you earlier today and knew I would be coming on. So I shut that off and tuned that out, because you could imagine, as far as between me making calls and posting things, being the author of terror strikes coming soon to a city near you, my phones were blowing up. What's going on? And I'm getting conflicting information. But what we do know is, as my book points out, the days of 9/11 are like, they're going to want to do that if they can, but likely behind us, because the bigger plots and plans, more moving pieces, more people, the greater chance it will be infiltrated and stopped. So smaller things like this, like the Halloween attack of a few years ago, like Washua, Wisconsin Christmas parade attack of a few years ago. These are going to be more the norm, because they can happen at lesser cost with lesser people, so they can't be interdicted is the word I was looking for if my brain wasn't so tired, as easily as a bigger plot. So, this is going to be more the norm than a wait 5 years, 10 years between major massive events. What's the phrase about 1,000 pinpricks? Again, I'm too tired, but right? Death by 1,000 cuts. That's what I was looking for. That's now the strategy and the norm. Letting you know anytime, any place, like my book points out, it can happen. You're in Hamilton, doesn't mean it can't happen there. Despite the Toronto 18 plot, like I go into in my book, hitting Hamilton or hitting Gulf, right? It's easier for them to do, and they can maximize the terror, because then you are finally awake to the fact it can happen anytime, any place. It isn't just New York. It isn't just Montreal. The big targets. Everybody, everywhere can be a target. And I don't want you paranoid. I just want you awake and alert, that you'll think, not panic, if something happens in and around you.
So apparently Germany has about 2,500 to 3,000 Christmas markets across the country. They're all in, full operation right now. Obviously, this one's shut down now. And, they've had trouble in the past. There was a serious attack like this back in 2016 in Berlin at a Christmas market where I think 13 people were killed in that incident. And wasn't it just last year we saw, maybe you just mentioned this, there was an attack in the U.S. at a parade?
Yeah, yes. It's been ongoing. The biggest one people most remember was a few years ago. Waukesha was the place. Waukesha, Wisconsin. Indeed, somebody drove past barriers and started running people down at a Christmas parade. But it's happened a few other places. It just isn't. The national news is kind of suppressing it, right? Biden doesn't want talk of terrorism going on under his watch. It's not that it went away, it's just that the media is cooperative in kind of suppress. LAX, was it last year? I think it was last year, shut down for 3 or 4 days. That was an attack on our power grid. They won't talk about it. They cannot talk about it. They did an infrastructure bill that was money laundering to friends, family, and donors, not a real infrastructure bill. Our electrical grid is a disaster and in danger, and indeed, somebody took out LAX by attacking a substation outside of it, took it down for days.
You know, it was Waukesha I was thinking about. It's hard to believe that was back in 2021.
Yeah,
a
few years now. Yep.
Time just going by so quickly.
Did you remember the LAX thing? Again, you probably don't, because you probably didn't hear much about it up there. They wanted it quiet.
Well, yeah, in Waukesha, I think 6 people were killed in that, and they had about 62 other people injured. That was terrible.
Yeah.
So
well, here's an important point. I mentioned I don't want you paranoid, right? I want you to walk to your bathroom later, look in the mirror and say, I resolve that in the fractions of a second I will have in a black swan situation where it's all going to hell around me, in those fractions of a second, I will think, not panic. Fight, flight, fade. Fight, unless if you're trained and you're armed and ready, is not likely an option for many. Flight, if you're in the sheeple stampeding to get away, you might get trampled to death. Bad idea. Sometimes hiding behind something, fading, pretending to be invisible may be your better option. But you've got fractions of a second. You gotta think, not panic.
yeah, let's bring up this additional video here of what happened at this Christmas market in over in Germany tonight. And I'm also seeing the political commentators chiming in on this, and I see the posts coming in now that I'm seeing right now. They're all like, don't be an Islamophobe, the blah blah blah. So I don't know. Here we go.
Reports that police suspect there could be an explosive device in the car that was used to plow through the crowd of innocent civilians shopping at this Christmas market about 2 hours, hour and a half or so outside Berlin. How do you suspect police are going about investigating this?
So there'll be a couple pieces. Excuse me. I mean, one is, of course, the evacuation of that area, because if you do think or suspect that there could be a bomb, you're going to have to evacuate. Then they have to ensure that the car is safe. The car and the individual are both your sort of prime evidence at this stage. So Deputy Director McCabe just talked about the person. The car is also going to give a lot of evidence. Who owned it? When was it acquired? BMWs are obviously common in Germany. Was it under someone else's ownership? And then that would give you a sense of, are there others that they have to be concerned about? I will say, knowing Germany, that this is high alert throughout the entire country right now. These are very common areas, common festivals. We are now just a few days out from Christmas. They are clearly vulnerable, hard to make them not vulnerable, just given the pedestrian aspects of it, as well as the stalls, as we were saying, are very close. They're festive. There's beer, there's partying, there's shopping. But now you have an entire country that is going to be worried that this would be followed up. So it's put this is a horrific event. We hope the fatalities are kept low.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, an important point about this, beat the other horse. You and I both said we tried to share, but not overshare. We tried to be careful, right? Whereas, like this news station, they're on air, they got conflicting things. You've got to say, We know these are facts. The rest of this is speculation. The BMW, right?
Yeah.
If it belonged to someone else, there are more involved. Well, that speculation you didn't take far enough. It may be a stolen vehicle.
Well, this guy who's been identified as the main suspect, his name is Taleb Al-Abdulamohsen, and he was actually on a BBC program, television program, some sort of a documentary or news report back in 2019. I have the clip right here.
Well, where
I'm
are
share it
you
with
getting
you now.
the information that, what
show you.
source did you quote? Because it's not you saying it, you are quoting whom that is the suspect.
That was the Guardian and multiple media outlets, a bunch, and this
again, my phones have been off for a while, so I don't have the latest.
This apparently, now I'm same name. Whether this is the guy with just maybe it's a different guy with the same name, but on social media right now, this is who people are saying this suspect appears in this BBC documentary or news report. So here's what we have. If this computer is acting up,
right?
I'm hoping
we don't
I can
know if
get you
this is
clip.
the guy. Here, this is. We're not saying it's the guy. It may be.
Here we go. Hang on. I think I've got him. Can we bring it up now? No, this stupid computer.
Oh, boy.
Just give it a moment. We'll have to reboot before we do the Maverick Midnight Matinee program in an hour at 10 because we have a special Christmas movie lined up that I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Hang on. I'm just waiting for this stupid thing to load. Come on, computer.
But yeah, in the past, there's been events and Saeed, right? Well, I was going to use that name in my book, and then I started looking. Well, it could associate with a billion different people. How popular is that name? It may be mistaken. So I ultimately came up with a fictional name to use.
Wow, this thing won't load.
Uh-oh.
What is wrong with this stupid computer? Hang on, let me try something else.
Well, you want to jump to a quick break and come back? Or?
Let me just see if it loads this way. Hang on, I don't want to do that. I think we might have better luck over here. Do we have it?
Just as long as the internet don't go out again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This is an internet issue, I think, more than anything.
Well, last time I was on with you, it went out entirely. You dropped off, went away, and then I later find via Rumble, I'm looking back, half of what I said before I signed off also just wasn't there. They dropped me.
Yeah, this is...
both rambling away and we're not actually live. I hope that's not the case today.
Yeah. Let me just... I've got a different source. Let's see if this one works better. Here we go. Sorry about the technical problems again, folks, but we're doing our best with what we have.
Right, and we want to be right, not first.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, different source. And I think this is going to work. Okay, here it is. This is supposed to be the suspect, and this is being posted widely now on social media just within the last few moments.
Hi, my name is Taleb. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm an activist. I created a website to help people seeking asylum, especially from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf region. Hi.
That's all we've got.
Not. But again, this is not if this is the guy, it wouldn't be a surprise to me. Just like Osama was able to get 20 disaffected Saudi Arabians. There are a lot of Saudi Arabians trying to hold to the old ways, and Saudi Arabia is changing. For most people, it's not changing fast enough, but it is changing. And there's a whole lot of people that don't like it, and they still don't like Saudi Arabia and the U.S. being allies. We protect the Holy Land. We protect Jerusalem with Israel. We protect in Saudi Arabia. What am I thinking? Again, my brain is just so. What's the block? We protect the dome. Where they circle around in Saudi Arabia. I know you know what I mean, but you might not be able to think of. But we protect the Holy Lands, the holy sites. We're there to help Saudis protect that holy site against Iran. And there are people that don't like it. So they're able to recruit some of them to engage in terrorism against the West.
Well, I'm seeing all kinds of, I'm just scrolling and just seeing what the latest information is here coming in. And I'm seeing reports of this guy being pro-Israel, anti-Israel. It's just, nobody seems to want him right now on any side. So the best thing we can do is just do what we've done. We've given you this information. We need to wait until we get more concrete details and official confirmation from credible sources like investigators to determine exactly what this guy is all about and to determine if indeed he's actually the one responsible. It appears that's the case, but give it some time for accuracy. I'm not going to go out on a limb here and make any kind of claim at all because everything is so
we
preliminary.
would rather ultimately wait and be right than be first about it. But these are reports. Take them with a grain of salt till we actually know. And again, not enough sleep, my brain. I had to go over to Google. It's Mecca and Medina in Saudi Arabia that I was trying to think of.
Ah, yes. So I know that you're bagged. I'm inviting you anyway to come and join me on the Maverick Midnight Matinee. You're probably way too tired, but if you've got the energy, you're welcome to join me. And
I would love to join because even you know what it is? I'm sure you feel that you're overtired, right? So I can already tell with all that's going on, I'm so tired, but yet if I go to bed, I'm just going to lay there all night and have a bout of insomnia and not sleep anyway. So, hey, I may as well be with you.
Okay, well, what we're going to do then is I'm going to run this trailer. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I like to tease people just a little bit, okay? And if anybody can guess this movie, I will send you a free Maverick News t-shirt or a Knights of Malta, Exile the Knights of Malta t-shirt, one or the other, whichever you would like. I will send you a free one. I'm going to tell you this movie that we're going to run tonight is a Christmas flick, and it's from the 1940s. Anybody want to guess in the chat tonight what our special Christmas edition of Maverick Midnight Matinee is featuring this evening? Mofo says Silent Night. Nope. We're
not talking Miracle on 34th, are we?
Silent Night. Another one says Silent Night. No. 1940s. I don't want to be too specific. I'll just give it away. It's a Christmas movie. Anybody else? Any guesses? So what else can I tell you about it?
They've had time to Google Christmas movies from the 1940s by now. Somebody should come up with it.
So this is a movie that sort of blends some. It's a film with themes of family redemption, and the spirit of Christmas.
You're not talking It's a Wonderful Life was what, 60s or 70s? But the copyright expired. That's why you see it everywhere now. It's in the public domain. Like this movie is, right?
So this, oh boy. It's not okay, here's the next clue would be that it's not really that well known. It's a little bit more obscure. But it's supposed to be a pretty good flick. I personally have never seen it. As far as I know.
Sounds like I might not have either then.
And it's a comedy.
Good.
It's a comedy drama, really. No, it's not Silent Night. I got to take that down. No, Scrooged. No, Scrooged is not the right answer.
No, that's recent with
no,
Bill
it's not.
Murray.
It's a Wonderful Life. No. Nobody's getting it. Nobody's. Maybe
Wouldn't
my
be
clues
Miracle
are just too
on
obscure.
34th.
No, good guess, but no.
That's well known, so that can't be it. You said it's more obscure.
Yeah. Okay, so it was produced by Benedict Bogius Productions.
That does not ring a bell at all.
Okay. It's about a greedy nephew of an eccentric woman. Oh my goodness. I'm just going to tell you what it is because I don't think anybody's going to get it. It's supposed to be a good flick, but it doesn't get as much. No, not A Christmas Story. No, good guess though. No, it's from the 1947 specifically. Last chance to guess. No, it's not. It's a Wonderful Life. No, it's called dun, 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 dun. It's called Christmas Eve.
Oh, interesting. Do you have a preview?
I have an old
trailer.
Yeah, no, this is an old trailer.
If it'll play.
It should play, I think. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen for you. That's the trick you see right now, because everything with this stupid computer is sort of a mess. I'm going to have to reboot this whole darn thing. Okay, we don't want it there. We want it.
Justin's version of the NSA is on you again.
Yes, that's right. The C. Yeah, CSIS. Yeah, okay. All right, here's a trailer. This was an old trailer that was on Beta SP videotape, broadcast standard.
Wow.
Transferred to film. Now, Beta SP, I've got to... Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's why you've got the time code on there. Now, the film that we're going to run later, the actual movie, the audio quality, the video quality is much better than this. So don't let this scare you away. The audio is a little tinny on this. But this is like a commercial, a trailer for the film, Christmas Eve. And I think the movie is better than the trailer itself, actually.
George Brack, with his hands full of trouble and his arms full of Virginia Steel. George Brent, who ducks out on a $75,000 check and $1 million chick, Joan Blondell. Randolph Scott, who comes home off the range
Big stars,
and gets
actually.
roped by adorable Dolores Moran.
She's something.
You see, it so happens I'm interested in babies.
Why, ma'am, if you're that much interested in babies, it's time we get acquainted.
You couldn't use that line today.
Let's make a Christmas baby, baby.
Dreamboat. Did you have your vitamins this morning?
It's a very racy Christmas film. It is breathtaking and exhilarating.
And with gun violence.
George Raft, super mega hunk star, extends the season's greetings to a rat. 3 Christmas Adams, George Raft, George Brent, and Randolph Scott, all super mega hunk superstars. Joan Blondell, Virginia Field, another super duper babe, and Dolores Moore, a super duper duper babe. And Ann Harding will give you really something to celebrate. Sinner's Holiday. That's not the right stupid trailer. I don't know. I don't even think that's the right one. It was supposed to be the right one.
It looks interesting.
Maybe back then it had 2 titles. I don't know, man. Anyway, we're supposed to watch this movie. It looks like the right movie. All the stars. I'm going to check this out. Why has it got a different title? I'm going to check that out because that looks like the right film to me, but it doesn't have the right title. So I just found that before we came on the air.
Looks very different kind of Christmas movie.
Oh yeah. I didn't want to. I was going to run Scrooge for the classic, the one that I really like, the best one with Alistair Sims, but I didn't want to run that because everybody's seen it a million times.
Right. It would be better and unique indeed to find a rare, older one most people today haven't seen, and in black and white again. So many people are so spoiled today. I hope you'll tune in for the black and white movie.
Yeah,
that
see,
you won't pass just because it's black and white.
There's a little piece of trivia for you. I didn't know this, but sometimes they use the alternative title for that same film called Sinner's Holiday. Sinner's Holiday. So by 1940s standards, that's freaking almost, this is going to be like softcore 1947 porn, practically holiday porn. With their people keep all their clothes on though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
well, with those lines
today it's like PG, right? So
yeah. Well, today it would
then,
also be politically incorrect. You could baby, it's cold outside. Oh, you can't say that.
Right. So in actually 55 minutes, we'll be back, and we'll engage in incredibly politically incorrect Christmas cinema. And when I say cinema, I mean 1940s style Christmas cinema, right? Because
that's quite the tease.
The super mega male stars will be committing acts of 1940s style sin with all those super duper.
There'll be a lot of kissing and a lot of
Christmas
other
babes.
Suggestive stuff.
Yeah, I'm exaggerating all this. It doesn't even really have anything to do. It just there's a little bit of they've always got a love interest.
Well, with
they
an
have to do
alternative title of Sinners. I mean,
Sinners
obviously
Holiday.
they were playing that angle a bit then.
Yeah.
So, which again, though, in today's standards will be like, this ain't nothing. But for then.
And here I am defaming myself. See, I'm in the chat, see, Joseph, as Rick Walker, Rick.Walker. And it says, the only time Maverick tells truths is when he shuts his lying mouth. Silence is golden in his cases. Oh, see, there I am attacking myself in the chat again.
If you go back far enough to the top of the show, I didn't go in the chat at all because I called people out. I expected to get a lot of heat in the chat today, and but again, hey, you should. I say this on my Constitutionalist Politics show all the time. If you can honestly answer with a good answer, you shouldn't fear the questions.
Oh.
You only fear the question if you can't answer.
Hey,
Legitimately.
Tinfoil Hat said he's reading Chrystia Freeland's book. This is the former Canadian finance minister and deputy prime minister. I don't know which book he's talking about because she's written, some books, but there's a new book that just came out, talking about it's like a biography. They rushed to get it out to market.
An unofficial biography
today or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that the one, Tinfoil Hat, that you're referring to? The new one that's just on the market now? The author, as I understand it, did not get a chance to interview Freeland. Wasn't able to set up an interview. but all kinds of research went into it to detail her background.
Oh, no doubt there's a ton of public information, and they just kind of compiled it, right?
Yeah, so I'm aware of the book, the new one that's just on the market now, but I don't know much about it.
I just hope they didn't cheat. Too many people, books we're going to see, AI generated. Hey, I want to write about so-and-so, spill all the public dirt on them in a book form, claim credit for it.
Well, okay, let's sign off out of this, and folks, we are going to be back. Joseph and I, together, we're going to team up to bring you tonight's special Christmas edition of Maverick Midnight Matinee. And tonight's movie, again, Christmas Eve with George Raft, 1947, and also starring Randolph Scott. It really does have a star-studded cast. It's not something a lot of people have seen. You're probably not that familiar with it. And I've previewed some of it. It looks actually like a pretty good flick. It's just recently coming into the public domain, so you're going to be seeing more of this movie in the years ahead. But on Maverick Midnight Matinee, it may be the first place you've ever seen the film, even though it's from the 1940s.
Will be for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So see everybody back here in like 51 minutes. Okay? For Maverick Midnight Matinee. I'll get everything set up. Look for the broadcast on Rumble, and I think we can go on YouTube tonight as well. So we'll probably be over there as well. But Rumble for sure. And that's where you should be watching. See you soon. Love you guys. Catch you on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.